Hi, hello friends. Today we are going to discuss about the boy who asked for more. This was written by Charles Dickens. C1. Answer the following questions. Where was Oliver Twist was born? Answer. Oliver Twist was born in the poor house of a little country or town. Who were present when Oliver was born? A doctor and a pure experienced woman were present when Oliver was born. Third one. What happened to the mother as soon as the child was born? As soon as child was born on the died. Mother died. What did the mother look like while alive? The mother was a young and good looking woman while she was alive. Who was Mr. Bumble? The Mr. Bumble was a beadle of town. Sixth one. How did Mr. Bumble treat the children? He strived and he treated the children under his care. Seventh one. What did Oliver's friend want him to ask to the master? The persuaded Oliver to ask more for the master. C2. Answer the following questions. How were the children fed in the house? The children were fed in a large stone hall with a big metal basin at the end. The master stood by the basin and served each child with a small bowl of a watery gruel. Second one. Why was a council held of by the boys? What did they decide in it? Boys did not get enough food in the poor house. They were always hungry, so they had to council in which it was decided to ask more. Oliver Twist was appointed to ask more the master. Third one. What did Oliver ask to master for? Answer. Oliver asked his master for more food. Fourth one. How did the master reacted to the request of Oliver? The master aimed a blow at his head, seized him by his arms and shouted of the beadle. Fifth one. What was the punishment that Oliver got for asking for more? Answer. As punishment for his greed and boldness, Oliver was immediately locked in room to spend the night alone. Sixth one. How did Mr. Bumble ultimately decided to do Oliver? He ultimately decided to drive out Oliver from the poor house and declared that reward to £5 would be he given the person who would have take the Oliver away from the poor house. Seventh one. What was Oliver's crime according to Mr. Bumble? According to Mr. Bumble, Oliver's crimes were asking for more. Third one. Read and discuss response with your partner. Briefly explain the circumstances under which Oliver Twist was born. Oliver was born in the poor house of a little country town on a cold black night in the winter of 1837. His birth was attended by a doctor who was hastily called off the purpose and by an old paper woman who was experienced in such matters. Second one. How can you say that Oliver's mother was a poor woman? She had been found lying in the street. It was clear that he was walked some distance before she died. Here her shoes were torn to pieces. Where she had to come a farm or where she had been going, nobody knew. So we can say that Oliver's mother was poor woman. Third one. What kind of man was Mr. Bumble? Mr. Bumble was a cruel man. He thought himself a very great man indeed. He strived and ill-treated and children under his care. Fourth one. What were the boys always hungry? The boys were always hungry because they were given to eat a small bowl of watery gruel. This was not enough for them, that they had no encourage to ask for more, so they were always hungry. Fifth one. How did the children plan themselves to satisfy their hunger? The boys held a council. Oliver Twist was appointed to walk up the master after supper and to ask for a more. In this way they wanted to satisfy their hunger, thinking that master would meet the demand of Oliver. Sixth one. What was the result of Oliver's request for more food? When the master heard Oliver's demand, he could not believe in his own ears. He turned very pale at this. He aimed a blow at Oliver, head seized by him arms, and shouted, "Mr. Bumble!" Mr. Bumble rushed in and was excited and said that was poor boy would be hung. Oliver was kept alone in a room at the whole night. Seventh one. Why did Mr. Bumble got a notice passed outside gate? Explain. Mr. Bumble thought that Oliver was a bold and a greedy nobody and questioned in his authority, so she decided to drive Oliver out of the poorhouse by pasting notice outside the gate. He did not like that the other boys should follow the example and his authority would be shaken. 8.1. Some of Oliver's birth and life in the poorhouse. Oliver was born on a cold winter night in 1837 in a poorhouse. As soon as she was born and the lost his mother, he life his life at the poorhouse is a miserable. He was always hungry as he did not get enough food to eat. He was ill-treated. Oliver's ninth birthday, he found him a pale, thin child who had hardly know a kind word to meet with a kindly look. Briefly narrate the events that led to Oliver being a looked up in room. When that evening, one of a bigger boys started quiet. Clearly, and unless he had to extra bowl of a gruel, he would most certainly eat the boy who slept him to him. He had a wild and hungry eye, so the smaller believed him. A counselor was held. Oliver was appointed to walk up to the master after supper to ask more. After the supper, the boys forced Oliver to ask for more. Oliver went to the master and said, "Please, sir, I want some more." Master turned pale when he heard that he hit the boy on the head and shouted for a beadle. Mr. Bumble rushed into the room with excitement and horror. He said that he had never heard to such a tilling, so as punishment for a greed and a boldness, Oliver was immediately locked in a room to spend the night alone. Fourth one, match the descriptive words that go with the character. Oliver Twist, poor, hungry, pale, thin, miserable. Oliver Mother, poor, good looking. Mr. Bumble, cruel, fat, wicked. C5. Look at the following headlines. Choose the best among them for the paragraphs indicated. Write them against the number. Fourth one, birth of an orphan. Second one, death of the mother. Third one, boy admission to the poorhouse. Fourth one, naming of the boy. Fifth one, boys holding a council. Sixth one, Oliver being forced for ask for more. Seventh one, Mr. Bumble reaction. Eighth one, punishment. Underline the word that does not belong to the groups in each. Farmer, doctor, teacher. The farmer is the agriculturist. Doctor and teacher and farmer as do a work in any office or a school, etc. Answer is the farmer. Ate, swallowed, smell, gulped. Answer smelt. Miserable, sad, agile, sorrowful. Answer agile. Stated, said, narrated, heard. Answer heard. Quickly, hastily, rudely, immediately. Answer rudely. Weak, pale, robust, thin. Answer robust. V2. Given below in a list of nouns, some are made from a verb. Some are not. Pick out of these words which are made from a verbs. Answer. Movement. B. Amazement. C. Development. D. Establishment. G. Measurement. I. Astonishment. And J. Government. Write down the noun form of the following words. Answer 1. Born, birth, suggest, suggestion, exist, existence, grow, growth, tire, tiredness, thick, thought. This is the end of lesson. Thank you for watching, friends.